Welcome to my channel, True State News US. Earlier this month on Power Lunch, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, said he would go to the extent of cutting off energy exports to the United States if necessary. Are people nervous? Yeah, they're nervous because of President Trump. We have to make sure. You have two choices here, folks. We roll over as a country and just let them run over us, or we fight like hell like we've never fought before. I'm taking option 2. But for the first time, Canadian liquefied natural gas is heading overseas. The latest trade clash between the United States and Canada has taken a sharp turn, with Washington preparing to impose tariffs that could climb as high as 35% on Canadian imports. For Canada, it's a heavy blow in an already tense economic relationship, but it's not the only upheaval in motion. Far from the negotiating tables, a milestone in the energy world has quietly shifted the balance of power. On June 30th, 2025, Canadian liquefied natural gas set sail for overseas markets for the very first time, crossing the Pacific to reach Asia without touching American soil. That single voyage broke a decades-old pattern and signaled the start of something far larger, an era where Canada controls more of its own energy destiny. Could this moment redefine the global energy map? And is Canada on the verge of joining the world's most powerful LNG exporters? Let's find out. For more than 3 decades, Canada's vast natural gas reserves had only one path to the world: southward through pipelines feeding directly into the United States. Year after year, virtually every cubic foot of gas sold beyond Canadian borders flowed into that single market. In 2024, the daily volume reached roughly 8 billion cubic feet, earning around $8 billion US over the course of the year. It was a system built on familiarity and proximity, but also on dependence. The fortunes of a major segment of Canada's energy sector rested on the demands, infrastructure limits, and policies of its neighbor. This reliance meant stability in good times, but vulnerability whenever politics, economics, or policy in Washington shifted. We have such power over Canada. That fragility became unmistakable in early 2025 when Washington announced tariffs of 25% on most Canadian imports, including a 10% duty on energy products. For Canadian gas producers already selling at a discount compared to American prices, the added cost threatened to push them out of competitive reach in a key market. Long-term supply contract began to look less certain as trade friction deepened. The tariff threat was not only an economic challenge, but also a warning about the risks of placing so much of a nation's energy trade in the hands of a single foreign buyer. The moment that would redefine this dynamic began far from the political exchanges of Ottawa and Washington on Canada's rugged Pacific coast in the small town of Kitimat, British Columbia. Years of engineering, environmental review, and construction culminated in the launch of LNG Canada, the largest private investment in the country's history at roughly 40 billion Canadian dollars. Built to supercool and liquefy natural gas to minus 165 degrees Celsius, the state-of-the-art terminal compresses a gas to 1/600th of its volume, transforming it into a commodity that can be shipped across oceans in specialized tankers. This technological deep carried profound strategic weight. Canada, which had always been constrained to overland pipelines, could now deliver its energy directly to international buyers. Kitimat's deep water port offered a geographical advantage that American Gulf Coast exporters could not match. From British Columbia, LNG carriers could reach Japan, South Korea, and parts of China in about 10 days, less than half the voyage time from Texas or Louisiana, where ships must navigate the Panama Canal and its delays. The savings in both time and cost opened a new, faster, and more reliable route into the energy-hungry markets of Asia. The first shipment loaded onto the tanker gas log Glasgow departed Kitimat on June 30th, 2025, marking a historic milestone. That voyage did more than inaugurate a new trade route. It signaled the emergence of a maritime energy corridor independent of U.S. control. For the first time, Canadian gas bypassed American soil entirely on its way to overseas buyers. The shift carried major implications. Canada could now reach markets willing to pay premium prices, reducing the influence of U.S. demand and the constraints of American infrastructure. Asia's appetite for LNG is expanding at an extraordinary pace. Japan, pursuing a cleaner energy mix, is securing new long-term LNG contracts and expanding import facilities, aiming to add 20 million tons of capacity annually by 2026. South Korea is increasing its LNG storage by about 50% over the next decade to safeguard against winter shortages and global supply shocks. China, the fastest-growing LNG market, has been locking in multi-decade supply deals worldwide to guarantee stability during periods of geopolitical or economic volatility. In each case, Canada's arrival as a stable, resource-rich supplier is well-timed. The LNG Canada project also represents a new approach to large-scale resource development in the country, one grounded in extensive local and indigenous participation. During the 7-year construction phase, it created more than 50,000 Canadian jobs and awarded over $8 billion Canadian dollars in contracts to Indigenous-owned businesses and local firms. The Haisla Nation, on whose traditional territory the terminal sits, is more than a stakeholder. It is an equity partner in the Coastal GasLink pipeline that carries gas nearly 700 kilometers from Amani shale fields to ports. This model of shared ownership and benefit has been hailed as a turning point in Canadian resource development, offering a template for future projects that aim to balance economic opportunity with community partnership. Technologically, the Kityat terminal is among the most advanced and environmentally efficient LNG facilities in the world. Powered primarily by clean hydroelectricity from British Columbia's grid, it produces significantly lower greenhouse gas emissions than most global counterparts. Equipment from Japanese and American manufacturers was chosen specifically for efficiency and methane